For a man who assumes that everybody who doesn't like him has Trump derangement syndrome, he clearly has Obama derangement syndrome. And he has had Obama derangement syndrome. I can tell you the specific moment that he got it. This goes back to 2009. He got it when the Obama White House didn't return his calls on allowing him to take over the state dinner process. In his head, if he makes a government entity work better, but that entity was created by Barack Obama, then he doesn't want to do it. You know, this is, to me, one of the worst viruses that's running through our politics right now, but particularly on the Republican side of the aisle, which is they only want to govern for those who support them.
Welcome back to State Line Media. Let's dive in. Donald Trump is sick, not in the way his doctors will ever admit, but sick in a way that is impossible to ignore. It is consuming his presidency from the inside out. And the clearest proof of it lives in his fingers, because whatever is happening in that deteriorating brain of his eventually ends up posted on Truth Social as some of the most embarrassing content ever published by a sitting president.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and I know
I kind of like it.
I do worry sometimes. I've heard some of the guys talk about changes in the locker room now and how kids are, some of the younger players, instead of just talking or playing some bidwest or something, everybody just like
Talk to your phone
on the
Totally
phone.
different.
The other thing I believe in, and part of what we try to teach in our leadership training is, I believe in face-to-face.
The diagnosis is simple: Obama derangement syndrome. Barack Hussein Obama derangement syndrome, to give it its full name. That is what Donald Trump has. That is what is rotting his presidency from within, because Trump cannot stop comparing himself to Barack Obama. The reflecting pool comparison blew up in his face. The speeches comparison, please just stop.
The end of hostilities between the U.S. and Iran, now looking closer than ever with a new peace framework. No paperwork has been released. But what little has been announced includes, according to both sides, limits on Iran's nuclear program and the U.S. lifting some sanctions, although there's still disagreement on how much relief Iran will get, and if or when Iran would get its frozen assets. The deal already facing criticism from many, including former President Barack Obama, for closely resembling his 2015 nuclear deal with Iran.
The deals comparison: Obama had the JCPOA, a real nuclear agreement with Iran. Trump has absolutely nothing. A hollow, embarrassing nothing that has already collapsed around him. And his most recent attempt to finally come out ahead of Obama, to find one angle, one moment, one post where he looks better, was one of the most cringeworthy things I have ever witnessed. It started with a clip: Barack Obama, completely unbothered, telling Trump to say it to his face next time. And then came the post. The full, spectacular public collapse.
What exactly did they say to each other? The world wants to know what political rivals Donald Trump and Barack Obama were chatting about at Jimmy Carter's funeral. They sure looked friendly. They chuckled like old buddies. Trump even made Obama laugh. So, what did they say? We enlisted the services of a court-certified forensic lip reader to find out. According to lip reader Jeremy Freeman, Obama says to Trump, "I can't talk. We have to find a quiet place. This is a matter of importance, and we need to do this outside so that we can deal with it, certainly today." At one point, Trump says, "I've pulled out of that. It's the conditions." Can you imagine that? It's unclear what Trump is referring to.
Barack Obama is right, flat out, no debate. He is right. Say it to my face. That is all he said. Simple, direct, and Donald Trump will never do it. We all saw that moment at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Some people thought Obama was being a little too warm with Trump. Fine. Say whatever you want about that. But what is undeniable is that Donald Trump is completely fascinated by this man. He cannot take his eyes off him. He cannot stop thinking about him. It is the same dynamic we saw with Zohran Mamdani. Trump simply cannot function around people who have genuine charisma, real confidence, and actual substance.
When you were campaigning, President Trump did have names for you. He called you a communist lunatic, and you had names for him. You called him a fascist. Now that you've met with him, that you've spoken with him multiple times, do you still think he's a fascist?
Yes.
And do you tell him that?
Yes.
Oh, how does he react?
I think everyone saw in the conversation we had in the Oval Office after our first meeting.
Mamdani walked into the White House and made it immediately clear: I am not here to bow down. I am not abandoning my values. I am not performing for you. And Obama has operated from that same place his entire life. He has never, not once, felt threatened by Donald Trump, so he just does his thing, says what he wants, lives how he wants.
The leader of this current administration is still very fascinated with you and your family, constantly bringing you guys up. And you've been out of office nearly 10 years now. How do you continue to keep your cool and take the high road, so to speak? Because we asked Michelle, and Michelle said we don't have to take the high road no more. We just have to be strategic in our approach.
That's what she said. You got to ask him what it is that
The obsession?
the obsession.
I know what it is.
Yeah, I obviously, have a room in his head.
Rent-free. You do everything with grace.
A suite. The last thing I had time to do was worry about what
Somebody said.
or what my predecessor
Yeah.
did.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone. I've got work to do.
Moves through the world like a man who has absolutely nothing to prove. And that is what drives Trump completely out of his mind. He cannot stand being around people who are simply better than him, more respected, more liked, more everything. So he spirals. He obsesses. He goes online and tries to play this ridiculous comparison game, and he loses every single time, including most recently right after the whole reflecting pool situation. And that is what produced the post. His fixation on measuring himself against Obama has reached a genuinely embarrassing level. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was out here attacking the Obama Presidential Library before it even opened its doors. And that library had an incredible opening, by the way. A great event. Stephen Colbert showed up in the iconic tan suit. Powerful speeches were delivered. Real energy in the room. Meanwhile, the day before, Trump was slurring his way through a transphobic non-event that nobody watched and nobody cared about. And yet again, his desperate need to draw a contrast between himself and Obama only made him look worse. Because there is no version of this comparison where Trump comes out ahead. He knows it. Everyone knows it. And still, he cranked up the time machine, hoping that maybe this time, maybe a throwback post, maybe a nostalgic photo, maybe something would finally tip the scales in his favor. It did not. His latest post was a disaster. A complete and total disaster. Trump got absolutely demolished online after his desperate Obama attack backfired spectacularly. He spent an entire Saturday flooding Truth Social with AI-generated images of himself, including one where he literally depicted himself as God, holding the entire world up on his shoulders. But that grandiose self-portrait was not even the thing that broke the internet. What everyone started talking about was a side-by-side photo comparison he posted. On one side, Trump, at what he personally labeled as age 20, photographed at a New York military academy. The problem? That image is actually his high school graduation photo, pulled directly from the school's 1964 yearbook. He was 17 years old, not 20. He lied about his own age in a photo he chose to post himself. On the other side, an 18-year-old Barack Obama, cigarette in hand, relaxed and effortlessly cool, photographed during his freshman year at Occidental College in Los Angeles. Obama would go on to complete his undergraduate degree at Columbia, much like yours truly. Small brag. Moving on. Nobody can explain why Trump labeled himself as 20. And nobody can explain why he thought this comparison would play in his favor. Because Obama looks incredible in that photo. He looks like the most unbothered, coolest person alive. Trump, by contrast, has no real record of service to point to. My friend Adam Mackler said it perfectly. Trump just posted a photo of Obama oramogging him, and he was absolutely right. Obama just looked better. The post immediately went viral, but not in the way Trump wanted. Memes flooded in. Mockery poured out. And then Midas Touch dropped a real age comparison. Trump at 46, photographed with Jeffrey Epstein versus Obama at the same age, serving as President of the United States. Why does he keep doing this? How does he not see it coming every single time? Every comparison, every post, every attempt, it explodes in his face without fail. And now Obama has been making the rounds, a bit of a public media tour. And he has been taking some well-aimed shots at Trump along the way, including one about the reflecting pool. We will get to that in just a moment. But first, let's be real about what Trump has been trying to do throughout this entire presidency. He has been desperately chasing Obama's legacy, and he cannot get anywhere near it. Because not only was the Obama presidency better by every single measurable standard you could name, it is also now wrapped in the warm glow of nostalgia. People are looking back 10, 12 years and saying, God, we had it so good. The country felt different. It felt stable. It felt sane. And Obama himself acknowledged this at the opening of his presidential library. He said something that genuinely resonated with me. He told the crowd, do not get lost in nostalgia. Appreciate what was, absolutely, but keep your eyes on what comes next. Do not just sit there celebrating the past. Build something new. Be hopeful. Push forward. I thought that was a remarkable thing to say. Delivered in a remarkable speech. Shocking to absolutely no one. This man has never given a bad speech. But Trump keeps swinging at Obama on every front and keeps getting knocked flat. On the economy compared to Obama, disaster. On Iran compared to Obama, disaster. On the reflecting pool that he refuses to stop obsessing over, disaster. And Obama took a quiet but pointed shot at him for that one too. It could not be more obvious what Obama was communicating. Trump is not running the country. Trump is managing a pool. That is his legacy. That is his great passion project, the National Mall Reflecting Pool, which is exactly why it was so infuriating when conservatives tried to run that tired defense. Oh, there was algae during Obama's presidency too. Yes, there was algae. Obama was not out there personally skimming the water. He was the president of the United States. He had slightly bigger things on his plate. That is the entire point. You remember how Republicans operated during the Obama years. If a Republican stubbed their toe, Obama got blamed for it. The Democratic war on feet. That was literally their energy. But the pool was never Obama's personal project. It was never his thing. Trump made it his thing. Trump bragged about it. Trump claimed he fixed it. And then it turned into an algae swamp and they started arresting children for playing in it. That is on him. Nobody else. And now Republicans are squinting at the pool, tilting their heads and trying to argue that maybe, just maybe, it looks a little better. Maybe Trump deserves some credit. No, absolutely not. A functioning reflecting pool is not a presidential achievement. It was functioning under Obama. It was functioning under Biden. Did anyone hand them a trophy? It is a pool. It is not the Iran nuclear deal. It is not landmark legislation. It is water sitting in a concrete rectangle. The fact that we are having this debate in the year 2025 is genuinely unhinged. These people are running out of wins so badly that they are trying to claim chlorine as a policy victory. I cannot take it. They are that dishonest. They are that desperate. And we are completely exhausted by all of it. And we are not alone in that exhaustion. Friend of the show Bernie Sanders put it in terms that I think capture exactly how millions of Americans are feeling right now, and it is the note I want to end on. We are done with the lies. We are fed up with Trump inserting himself into every single corner of our lives every day without end. We are tired. We are over it. We want to move on. We want to not be bombarded by this man's ego every waking hour. And getting there is not about going back to the Obama years, as genuinely good as they were. I spent most of them in elementary and middle school, so maybe I am a little biased, but objectively, things were better. Fewer crises, lower rent, a beer in DC did not require a financial plan, life was simpler. But we cannot simply rewind. We cannot just vote for nostalgia and call it a vision. We have to build something new, something real, something worth fighting for. Because at the end of all of this, the pool, the posts, the comparisons, the collapse, that is what actually matters. What comes next? What we build, not what he destroys. If you found this report helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching State Line Media. See you next time.